So this session is promoting supported business through framework innovation. We're going to hear from Barry Phillips, Category Analyst at Scotland Excel, Alistair Kerr, Chaser Base Scotland Region, and Danella Duff, Supported Enterprise Manager at North Lanarkshire Council. And to be fair, guys, at the end of the day, little introduction is needed for Barry and Alistair, because it is true that they will go to the opening of an envelope, especially if it has the phrase supported business on it. And to be fair, so am I. But their passion is legendary for supported business, and I'm looking forward to hearing them. Danella, I know you also share that passion, and I will try to stop them both talking and using up all your time, because clearly we need to finish on time. So one of the strategic objectives of Scotland Excel's third generation domestic furniture and furnishings framework was to provide opportunities for supported business, an area that we're deeply passionate about. This session will hear the views of the framework owner, Barry, the views of the British Association of Supported Employment, Alistair, and from that supported business themselves, or one of them, Danella. I'm going to hand over to Barry, who'll start off talking about the subject. Barry.
Stephen, thank you very much indeed, and welcome everyone. Lovely to see a pretty big crowd at the end of the day. We've been joking, people call this the graveyard shift when you're here in person. I've been telling Alistair, Danella and Stephen, this is the main event. It's like when you go to a concert, like they save the best till last. So here we are, and thank you very much for joining us. Delighted to be here. Stephen said, my name is Barry Phillips. I'm a category analyst within Scotland Excel's refurb and maintenance team, and I am the contract owner for the domestic furniture and furnishings framework. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the DFF framework. It is origins on the first generation. It was built to be a mechanism for local authorities to spend their Scottish Welfare Fund in order to furnish the homes of vulnerable clients. And that remains at its core what the framework is all about. And we are blessed with having a dedicated specialist supply base who, as well as delivering a very key service, have turned out some amazing sustainable procurement practices and community benefits. The framework has been a shining light in community benefits delivery over the years for Scotland Excel, and we're very proud of the supply base who delivers that. It's been a fantastic thing for us. On the first generation, it was purely new furniture. As we went to the second generation, we felt like we were missing a trick, and that trick was with the reuse furniture sector. So that's all social enterprises, charities, suppliers who provide reuse furniture. So we thought, you know what, we can create a second lot for reuse furniture, and we did that. How did we do that? We spoke to people from the sector. We spoke to a lot of different businesses who provide those kind of goods. We spoke with Community Resources Network Scotland, who are the overarching body for reuse furniture. And we figured out their capabilities, and we figured out how we could merge it into the framework, and we created a second lot for reuse furniture. Over the 4 years of the last framework, Lot 2 for reuse furniture was a fantastic success, I'm pleased to say. The Community Resources Network Scotland consortium received over £1 million of spend on the framework. Now, in the grand total of the total framework spend, it's quite a small number. There was over 80 million spent on the last framework, but that £1 million on reuse furniture is a huge success. I must also at this point plug the fact that Scottish Government celebrated the success of the Reuse Consortium on the Scotland Excel framework, and they produced a video that is available on YouTube. That video on YouTube has about 500 views, and if I'm being honest, about 450 of them are me and my mum. However, it is a very, very good production, and I would recommend checking it out on YouTube. And again, this is what we do. Like, we try and create opportunities and try and make them a success. On the third generation of the framework, and the development of this started way back in December 2019, which feels like an eternity ago, considering everything that's been going on in the world. But we felt like we were missing another trick, and that trick was working with supported businesses. I was pleased to say that we became close associates with Alistair Kerr from Base, and we started talking, like, what can we do together? We have a framework in place. There's a load of supported businesses out there who do furniture. How can we bring this all together? So I'm a big believer in stakeholder engagement. I'm a believer in talking to people to figure out how we can solve problems. So I did things like visit RSBI in Glasgow. I went up to Dundee to visit Dovetail in Dundee, Dovetail Enterprises. I spoke at the BASE Regional Forum, and I said, this is what we do, Scotland Excel, this is the framework. Tell me what you do and tell me how you think we can pull this all together to make something happen. And it was a really interesting kind of path, because Alistair's hugely passionate about supported businesses. As are everything that goes on at supported businesses is really incredible. I was completely blown away by the things that are happening at these enterprises. Danella will tell you more about a specific one, North Lanarkshire Industries, in good course. But I left with a feeling that we can really incorporate this somehow. The Scotland Excel framework we have a one-stop shop approach. And what that means is that the 200 items on our framework core list, that is 200 items for your living room, things you can sit on, like things like window coverings, floor coverings, white goods, bedroom furniture. There's not many, if any, supported businesses can actually provide all those goods. So we thought we had to start thinking about how can we do something innovative to make it happen. So on the third generation of the framework, what we did when we went out to tender is that we created a core list and we added a number of items that had to be sourced from supported businesses. We put it out with the hope that this would kind of catch on, and anyone bidding for the lot one of the framework would say, you know what, we can make a supply chain, a second tier of the supply chain with supported businesses. And it was for goods that I knew that supported businesses provided. So it's things like sofas, armchairs, beds and mattresses, wardrobes, chests of drawers. We put this out, and I had my fingers crossed the whole time that this tender was out. And when it finally came back, 3 of the 5 awarded suppliers on the Scotland Excel framework, lot 1 for new furniture, had said we can supply goods that are sourced from supported businesses on the Scotland Excel framework. So I was really delighted by that, and I felt like it created an opportunity. The third generation of the framework only went live beginning of March, April time, so it's pretty fresh, it's pretty new. But I already know that through contract management meetings with our lot 1 suppliers, that a couple of them are already making inroads into doing something with supported businesses. I know that New 2 Limited have an existing relationship with RSBI in Glasgow, and they've said if there's demand for this, we'll be quite happy to source goods from supported businesses to sell on the Scotland Excel framework. The furnishing service, who have been a fantastic supplier for us over the years, have said we've talked to 2 or 3 supported businesses in the last couple of weeks and had really positive conversations. And again, we really feel that we can do something here. Again, all the suppliers that are awarded to our framework are very big on sustainable procurement. They're very big on creating opportunities for people and working with things like the third sector, working with supported businesses, etc. So I feel very positive at the start of this framework that we might really achieve something here. Ultimately, I feel that Scotland Excel and our awarded suppliers have created an opportunity. We have kind of opened the door for councils and for anyone else who is associate partners of Scotland Excel, housing associations, APUC, City Building Glasgow, that if they want to purchase goods from supported businesses, then they can do so through the Scotland Excel domestic furniture framework. And I'm really excited for the future, and I'm really hopeful that councils will look at things like the government's sustainable procurement duty and think, you know what, as we make decisions on what we buy and things we do, in Scotland Excel, I've got an opportunity for us to buy from supported businesses. So I know that sounds like a wee bit of a sales pitch, and you know what, it is. I want this to be a success. I'm a huge proponent of supported businesses. On that note, I will pass across to Mr. Alistair Kerr. Alistair and I have developed a really good working relationship, and I'm really impressed with Alistair's passion as he leads supported businesses in Scotland as the chair of BASE Scotland. Alistair, I'm delighted to pass across to you.
Thanks, Barry, and also a thanks to Stephen for that kind introduction. We can obviously pay him back at some appropriate point in the future. I'm absolutely delighted to receive the invite to come along and tell you a little bit about BASE and Scotland's supported businesses. BASE has a long-established positive relationship with Scotland Excel, And over the months and years, we've developed some significant opportunities, which have been the foundation to enable disabled people to realise individual goals and ambitions. So let me start off by telling you a little bit about BASE, the British Association of Supported Employment. Was formed back in 2006-07, and it was a merger between two disability organisations, one called AFSE, the other one called NACE. One was an English provider, one was a Scottish provider, and they came together to draw on their collective strengths and they formed BASE. And as it says in the tin, it's concerned with all things lobbying government and so on, and all things to do with creating opportunities for people with disabilities or who are marginalised or disadvantaged. So BASE's kind of strapline here is our purpose is to support, promote and develop the principles and provision of supported employment, enabling disabled or disadvantaged people to realise individual goals and ambitions. And they do that through numbers of streams. So BASE's kind of footprint in Scotland with Scottish Government really kind of started probably in a kind of higher stage level was back in about 2011 and 12, where we supported the First Minister and Central Government procurement to look at developing opportunities for people with disabilities who had been made redundant following the Westminster Government stroke DWP's closure of their employee businesses across Scotland. And what that did was it left 2,000 or so disabled people redundant. And as everyone knows, redundancy is an absolutely horrendous process to go through. Never mind if you have a disability or you're disadvantaged in some unique way. So the kind of milestones with that relationship, we established a group called the Supported Business Advisory Group, which is still in operation today. That was back in 2012. And the purpose of that group was to promote and develop opportunities for supported businesses, which in turn would create the employment opportunities for disabled people. Running parallel to that, when that group was set up, at that time it was chaired by Minister Ewing, soon, then Cabinet Secretary Ewing, and then onto the backbenches, then Minister Wheelhouse, and just pre the election there, Minister Hepburn. There is a new chair of the group going forward, and the purpose for that will be to laser focus sustainable procurement duty and create employment opportunities for disabled people, thus contributing to halving the disability employment gap. So the milestones in that relationship, other than that, we supported central government procurement when they created the two-part Scottish Government sustainability test for supported businesses, which I understand is currently being reviewed. There's a kind of key component there that needs to be added to it to remove the kind of confusion round about who are genuine supported businesses. We've worked with Scotland Excel, NHS National Procurement, Central Government Procurement on developing supported business frameworks. And the original supported business framework, which was launched back in 2012, is currently under review, looking to refresh and broaden the offer. It'll either be done with additional frameworks or some type of dynamic purchasing system, and that is currently underway. One of the most recent events that we've had is we had a kind invite from the new head of procurement at Social Security Scotland, who are currently developing the first corporate procurement plan and strategy. And BASE supported the team there to ensure that BASE and supported employment, and most importantly, people's needs who have disabilities, are really reflected in that policy. And those directorates, Scotland Excel, Central Government Procurement, NHS National Procurement, Social Security Scotland, Scottish Prison Service Procurement, have all been very, very proactive with these strategies and policies. And we know it's a duty, so it's a legal requirement, which obviously feeds into the annual reporting of the directorates. So very, very quickly, a very simple thing. What is a supported business? Well, a supported businesses are enterprises whose main aim is to integrate disabled and disadvantaged people socially and professionally. Workforce must be at least 30% disabled or disadvantaged. So it's pretty simple and what they do. There's roughly across the UK about 250 genuine supported businesses that operate under these terms and conditions. And through due diligence, you can check straight right back to Companies House, all the way through their history and legacy, some of them dating back 150, 170 years, established to respond to world wars, pandemics, all sorts of real tragedies that have happened over the centuries. And as you can imagine, the last 12 or 15 months for these organisations in terms of the impact from the pandemic, I think the real fear is when the furlough scheme is eventually lifted, the true social and economic impact for people with disabilities or who are to these labels of being disadvantaged will really start to bear out. And this is where approaches like Scotland Excels will be the foundation as part of that economic recovery. BASE can also support commissioners and suppliers with embedding supported businesses pre and post ITT stage for contracts on PCS. We much prefer that it's pre, for obvious reasons, because it's very, very hard and subjective when you try then embed them post the award or post the ITT. So we've worked across those directorates trying to enable those types of things to happen. BASE can also support you with embedding supported businesses into, if you're a supplier, into the procurement timetables and into the supply chains. And the more that we develop those relationships, be it public, private or third sector, the more opportunities that we will create. All of the organisations that BASE put forward to you have had formal due diligence carried out all the way from Companies House, all the way back to their operational delivery, so that you will know with confidence that when you embed them in your offer, they are genuine supported businesses and they will meet all requirements in terms of the two-part test and any due diligence requirements that you would need. We have a wide range of goods and services, and Donella will come on to touch on some of those goods and services going forward. And I'm sure that Barry can provide some of the information from my presentation to you. They're quite broad. Barry, like others within Scotland Excel, have been very proactive in visiting these supported businesses. So if you need a list or a contact to get in touch with so you can go and see for yourself, meet the fantastic people that work in them, the inspirational people who have got disabilities or who are disadvantaged or challenged with everyday life. The number one medical thing going forward, it was pre-COVID, will be mental health. And people who have really been living, I can't think of a worse storm than isolation because of the COVID restrictions for somebody with a mental health problem. So supported businesses are the foundation and pivotal to creating these opportunities, because mainstream employment, perhaps for the majority of the people, might be an ambition, but due to their unique circumstances, need additional support. Probably the last two things I'll tell you before I hand over to Donella. BASE is a key stakeholder to facilitating understanding of the supported business landscape across Scotland. We work with Scotland Excel, Central Government Procurement, NHS National and Local Procurement, Transport Scotland, Scottish Prison Service and APOC. So that gives us a national reach. And if the government's ambition is to halve the disability employment gap, these are the types of initiatives that are going to do that, because you will have a supportive employer who fully understands the complex needs of that person, and they can provide the wraparound support to ensure that that person sustains and grows in work. So my ask of you today will be to reach out to your supported businesses in your local communities, reach out to BASE and see how they can help you. But ultimately what we're going to do, we're going to change people's lives for the better, and you can be part of that journey. So thanks for the time, and over to you, Donella.
Okay, thanks for that, Alistair, and hopefully Barry and Alistair have left the best to last.
Yes.
So I manage North Lanarkshire Council Supported Enterprise Service. Supported Enterprise is where Employability and Enterprise Connect, and that's to provide training, development and employment opportunities for disabled people and people that's facing challenging barriers to gain employment or even sustain in their employment. So we do this through two really distinct services: supported employment, that's the employability arm of the service, and we work with people to break down any perceived barriers. We build up their confidence, we support them to gain transferable skills, because we believe that's what's utilised in any work environment. So that could be resilience, creative thinking, problem solving, communication, teamwork. Now we've got a range of projects that we do this from. Project Search, what we operate out of 2 hospitals in Lanarkshire. Roots, which is our disabled looked after and accommodated children project. Project Ability and No Limits are within the ASN schools and our core service of supported employment. Now, with the service, we engage with employers because we believe that the right person for the right job is crucial. We work with the employer, we ask for work trials and work tasters. This lets the employer see the person's abilities. We also offer support to the employer as well as the employee, and that could be, you know, an induction, disability awareness, systematic instruction, and even how to access work. You know, to access to work if a person's needing some reasonable adjustments made within that business. The other arm of the service is North Lanarkshire Industries, which is our supported business. And as Alistair explained, a supported business is one where 30% or more of the employees have a disability or are disadvantaged. Well, let's look at that last phrase: disabled, disadvantaged. Are these the types of words that we should really be using to promote a supported business? Does that shine it in the best light? North Lanarkshire Industries is a modern day manufacturing facility, and at the heart of the business is passion and purpose. We focus on what a person can do rather than what they can't do. We manufacture a vast range of quality bespoke furniture and soft furnishings. These are suitable for a range of environments, from temp accommodation, student accommodation, nurseries, early learning establishments. We also work to ISO 9001-2015 quality management systems, and all our products meet current furniture and fire safety regulations. We also provide a reupholstery service, so if an item's structurally sound, this could be diverted for landfill. Just give you a wee example of that, of the circular economy. Our own council had a project through office rationalisation. This was before COVID. They had 700 plus office chairs that were looking to be refurbished. Will we buy them new? Will we refurbish them? Well, refurbishing them resulted in a saving of £59,000 against buying new. In addition to the financial saving, you know, there are other benefits that come for that. 23 skips of furniture was diverted for landfill, 253 miles, you know, of transport CO2 emissions avoided. But most importantly, 1,006 hours of training and development was provided for disabled and disadvantaged groups for our local communities. So, you know, at the supported business, we recognise the importance of collaboration and partnership working. We currently supply our goods and services within our own council and other local authorities. We are a supplier on the NHS furniture framework, and we're also embedded in a few of the tier 1 suppliers in the Scotland Excel domestic and educational furniture framework. We would really welcome the opportunity to work with more tier 1 contractors within their supply chains. You know, embedding a supported business in your supply chain, you would be contributing towards creating more opportunities for disabled people to enter employment. The Scottish Government has an ambition, as has the Westminster Government, to halve the disability employment gap. An action plan's been developed, A Fairer Scotland for Disabled People. But did you know 81% of the general population in Scotland is in employment? That drops to 45% if someone has a disability. It drops even further if that person is on the autistic spectrum, of 32%. And the most alarming figure that you'll find is it drops down to 4% if people have a learning disability. So let's look at why we do what we do. Well, we passionately believe that everybody has got something unique to offer if they're given the opportunity. We see the person that we work with, we don't see the label. And our mission is to create local jobs, training, development opportunities for local people who are facing challenge and barriers. And at the heart of all of this is our most valuable assets, our employees. So let me bring this to life. Jimmy was out of work for 2013. Before that, he had served some time in the care of the Scottish Prison Service. Jimmy has alcohol fetal syndrome. For those of you who don't know what that is, it's a condition that causes damage to the brain and affects the child's growth due to the mother's continuing alcohol consumption during pregnancy. On liberation, he was reunited with his family back into a cycle of abuse, financial abuse, physical abuse, mental and emotional. Jimmy knew he wanted to change his life, but he didn't know how to. Social work referred him to our service in 2017, and at that time he felt he had no chance of getting a job. Jimmy's words were, "Who would give someone like me a job?" We matched him to a job coach, we worked on his confidence and helped build his self-belief. We developed a wraparound service involving other agencies, money advice, housing. We developed strategies for coping with Jimmy. Jimmy was then provided a work trial within our supported business. We gave him a workplace mentor. Jimmy thrived. He absolutely grasped every learning opportunity with both hands. His confidence soared. When a full-time job became available, Jimmy applied for it and was successful. He's a real character. He's got drive, guts, determination, and a really valuable member of our team. Nothing's too much trouble for him. He's always in time. Over the last 3 years, he's hardly had an absence. In fact, you need to encourage him to take a holiday. Jimmy's goals and aspirations for the future is to be the boss. He wants my job. Is that not the type of employee that every employer wants? Jimmy now has a girlfriend and his own flat, and in Jimmy's words, life is awesome. But Jimmy's only one of many people in the same position who has been given a label and finding it difficult to find work. By procuring from a supported business directly or incorporating them into your supply chain, you can help people like Jimmy achieve their goals and aspirations. Any industries employ people with a range of abilities in our business, not because it's a nice thing to do, it's because it's the right thing to do. So what would be my ask from you today? Just the same as what Alistair had said, I would ask everyone at the conference, get to know your local supported business, see the quality products and services that they can provide. As Alistair mentioned, BASE has got a network of over 200 members in Scotland, and I'm sure Alistair would be more than happy to help link you up with your local supported business. So I would just like to finish off by asking you a couple of questions. How can you utilise the Scottish Government Sustainable Procurement Duty to enable more disabled and disadvantaged people to fulfil their hopes and ambitions? Will you incorporate a supported business in your supply chain? Are you looking to fulfil your community benefits? And lastly, but most importantly, would you like to change a disabled person's life forever? Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Donella, for that last bit. That was really inspirational. And I guess, Donella, I'll change your question and I'll ask the audience, why wouldn't you?
Exactly.
Why wouldn't you guys? So I've got one question in the chat and then we'll come back. So the question in the chat probably is more for you, Alistair, and it's from Sylvia, and it's asking, is the Social Enterprise Finder, we've had this conversation a number of times, Alistair, the Social Enterprise Finder managed by P4P, is that the best place to go and find a social enterprise or a supported business?
I think there's a history and legacy there attached to it, which makes everybody a little nervous. It was set up for all the right intentions, but the fear from the commissioning world is the word due diligence and endorsement. And I do know that central government procurement do publish that and do have it on their website in terms of PCS and that type of thing. But I also know pre-COVID and during COVID and up to I'm talking to the now, certainly BASE has worked with a number of these directorates and commissioners to make sure that organisations that put themselves forward and self-declare that they're a supported business indeed meet all the requirements. One of the things, Stephen, that kind of flagged up during COVID was the self-declaration, and really caused some serious problems because it was clear from me looking at it, a number of those organisations simply could not be supported businesses. They don't trade as supported businesses, but they may be doing it for other reasons in terms of commissioning and that type of stuff. So I think P4P or BASE would be able to support you if you needed signposting in particular areas.
Thanks, Alistair. And I guess that last point is an important one because, quite frankly, if I'm dealing with an organisation and I'm not sure, the first thing I do is I lift the phone in a phone BASE and I ask BASE. And I think there's a lot of obvious things you can spot quite quickly. But if I'm not sure, I phone in and I ask Alistair. But it's quite a contentious point, and I think at the point it happened, it added a bit of confusion. But it's still not a good enough excuse not to go and do the things that Donella talked about. It's still not a reason not to use the frameworks that are available that do build in supported business. These organisations want a level playing field, and I put a comment earlier on in the chat about busting the myths. And sometimes when I'm out talking to people, they say, "Oh, but they're really expensive." And when you push that and ask the question, actually, there's maybe not as much diligence behind that statement as there should be. So I am passionate. I'll get off my soapbox. And there's a question just come in literally there now from Rachel Thomas saying, keen to do more. Do we have an updated supported business framework?
In terms of central government procurement, that framework is still live. It's still got the same lots in it. It's currently under review, Stephen. It's due to finish in December this year. Understanding is extended for 12 months as this review from the learning of it. So there will be my understanding is there will be a new supported business frameworks or some type of dynamic purchasing system with a broader scope of goods and services. Okay. Now, I was going to give you the opportunity to give an ask of the audience, but I'm delighted to say you all did it at the end of each of your presentations. So Barry, I guess for each of you, Barry, it's about, use that framework. It's there, there's passion into creating it. So we need people to use it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's there. The route to market is in place. If you want to use supported businesses to purchase furniture, you can do so through the Scotland Excel DFF framework. I would encourage anyone who's even halfway interested, get in touch with me. My details are on the Scotland Excel website. I can share them in the chat momentarily. Give me a shout. I'll be happy to take you through it. And as I said, we're passionate about it, and there's a real opportunity here for us, for supported businesses and councils. So, let's do it. Thanks, Barry. And the ask, I think, from Alistair and Donella is give us a chance. You are doing the right thing. You are supporting those people in the community that need that extra help, and you're delivering a quality service. So give us a chance. There's a question just coming from Jim, which I'll comment on myself first of all. But Jim Johnson from Morrison Construction is saying, what role can the private sector play in supporting supported business? I'll answer the first part of that is, and maybe we'll run a session and Jim can talk about what Morrison Construction are doing, because I think they're doing a great job as a private organisation in supporting supported business. But I'll give that question across to probably Alistair and Donella. What do you think the private sector could do more of to support supported business? One of the ambitions over certainly the last 5 years, Stephen, from central government procurement is to get the private sector more engaged in public sector contracts when it comes to community benefits and that type of stuff, sustainability. And it's always been quite a challenge. There's been some behaviours there and learning there that are perhaps don't sit particularly well in the third sector, because clearly the private sector have different approaches to different things. However, Morrison Construction have kind of broken that mould in terms of setting up I think it's called the Sustainable Procurement Group. And what that is a supply chain, Stephen, purely made up of supported businesses.
They're onboarded into Morrison's construction and are part of their bidding pipeline, but they're also forward facing into the 450 or so suppliers that Morrison Construction have in their supply chain. So in 20 years I've been involved in this, this is the first private sector organisation that I've saw with that type of vision and values, which is already producing evidence-based results.
Okay, thank you. Interesting comment also in the chat there from, it just popped up, from Rachel in Dundee to say that they use a spend monitor in Dundee to encourage this on construction contracts. And that's for both supported business and social enterprise. So again, that's something we maybe look at if there's some good practice there that we can share across the community. Barry again is putting a note, if anybody's interested, then his details are there. So guys, thank you very much. Conscious of time, I don't think there's any more questions or any more hands. So I'll finish by saying thank you very much for your impassioned presentations today about supported business, and we welcome supporting you more in the future. So folks, thank you all. That was the last session of today. Really interesting, been a great day. 7 sessions today. Really inspirational about what we can do about community wealth building across Scotland, across the public sector. Tomorrow we have 2 streams running. We have leadership in a post-COVID world. That sounds kind of Mad Maxy when I read it back now, right? But leadership in a post-COVID world. And our first session is at 9 AM tomorrow morning, and that's with Nick Ford. And we also have a stream running tomorrow of Procurement People of Tomorrow, which starts at 9:30, and that's with Nikki Archer. So folks, thank you very much. Brilliant day, and look forward to seeing you all hopefully tomorrow. Thank you, folks. Goodbye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.